In the early hours of October 12, 2025, a quiet tension filled the basement of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Beneath the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, a team of forensic experts prepared to examine the body of Diane Keaton, the beloved actress whose name had become synonymous with Hollywood's golden era. She was 79 years old, a woman who had graced the silver screen for over 5 decades, yet the story of her final moments was anything but ordinary. The official cause of death was listed simply as bacterial pneumonia, a straightforward diagnosis, clean and uncontroversial. But as the lead forensic pathologist began his examination, he quickly realized that this case was far from typical. The biological evidence before him did not fit the textbook definition of pneumonia. Instead, it revealed a series of baffling anomalies, strange tissue reactions, mysterious cellular activity, and a peculiar mark on her left shoulder that defied explanation. What the doctor saw that night would soon become one of the most closely guarded medical enigmas in Los Angeles history. A report that vanished from hospital servers, a file that disappeared without a trace, and a silence from the medical community that only deepened the mystery. Diane Keaton's death was no ordinary passing. It was a puzzle wrapped in shadows, a final secret that continues to haunt those who knew her and those who only admired her from afar. The autopsy room was cold and sterile, the air thick with unspoken questions. When the white sheet was lifted, the team noticed a faint silver sheen on Diane's left shoulder, a 7-centimeter mark, flat and waxy, unlike any scar or surgical wound. It shimmered under the light, almost as if it were alive. Surrounding the mark were small, scaly lesions, reminiscent of the skin cancer she had battled decades earlier. Under the microscope, the skin tissue revealed an unusual inflammatory response. The cells weren't dying as expected. Instead, they appeared to be misfiring, as if the body was attempting to regenerate itself in a way no one had ever seen before. The lead doctor jotted down a note: abnormal cellular activation, possible autoimmune response. But within hours, that note was erased from the official records. The hospital's internal systems mysteriously went offline for 45 minutes that night, just as the preliminary autopsy report was about to be uploaded. When the network came back online, the file was empty. Only Diane Keaton's name and a timestamp remained. The chief medical officer instructed the team to omit any mention of the unusual findings. 2 technicians were quietly reassigned, and the rest of the forensic staff were asked to sign confidentiality agreements. Despite the official narrative, whispers began to circulate among medical professionals. Some suggested Diane's lungs had been attacked by her own immune system in a rare autoimmune pulmonary necrosis, a condition where the body's defenses turn inward, destroying healthy tissue without any infection present. Others speculated that decades of phototherapy treatments for her skin cancer had left genetic scars, causing her cells to behave abnormally. In fact, Diane had participated in a UCLA study on immune system changes in former skin cancer patients, a study that was never published. The connection between her past treatments and her final illness remains a subject of intense speculation. Diane Keaton's medical history was complex. In the early 1970s, she was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, a form of skin cancer caused by prolonged exposure to harsh studio lights and sunlight, a hazard many actors of her generation faced unknowingly. She underwent multiple surgeries, leaving faint scars that she guarded carefully. Her skin became hypersensitive to light, forcing her to adopt a lifestyle of near-complete avoidance of daylight. She wore wide-brimmed hats, gloves, and long sleeves even indoors. Friends described her as a woman who lived in the shadows of light, a paradox for someone whose career had been defined by her luminous presence. But the story of Diane's health struggles didn't end with skin cancer. In her memoir, she revealed a long battle with bulimia nervosa in her 20s, a disorder that silently damaged her body's immune and nervous systems. Medical experts now believe that this history may have contributed to her body's inability to respond effectively to infections later in life. In 2023, Diane was hospitalized briefly for acute bronchitis, but recovered quickly. Yet, in the months that followed, her breathing worsened, requiring oxygen support at night. Despite this, she maintained a public facade of health, attending events and smiling for cameras, refusing to discuss her condition. The autopsy revealed lungs marked by tiny erosions and enlarged blood vessels, signs of repeated injury and healing. One pathologist described her body as a machine pushed beyond its limits, worn down by decades of internal battles. A particularly chilling detail emerged from a leaked report. A sample from her right middle lung lobe contained foreign cell clusters of unknown origin. This finding was never made public, and the sample mysteriously disappeared from hospital records days later. The supervising pathologist resigned shortly after, citing the case as beyond medical description. Three main theories have emerged to explain Diane Keaton's final days. First, a delayed autoimmune reaction, where her immune system attacked her lungs without any infection present, causing rapid respiratory failure. Second, the long-term effects of phototherapy treatments, which may have caused genetic mutations in her skin and lung cells, leading to abnormal cellular behavior. Third, a metabolic drug reaction, where Diane's body failed to absorb antibiotics properly due to past digestive disorders, resulting in toxic compounds that further damaged her system. Each theory alone is unsettling. Together, they paint a picture of a body caught in a relentless struggle, a body that fought to survive but ultimately succumbed to forces science still cannot fully explain. In her final months, Diane's behavior reflected her fragile state. She darkened her home, shortened curtains, removed mirrors, and kept the temperature low to ease her breathing. She wore gloves indoors, shielding her sensitive skin from even the faintest light. Yet those who visited her described a woman who remained lucid, cheerful, and remarkably composed. She spoke of tidying up the light in her life, a metaphor for preparing to leave on her own terms. Diane Keaton's legacy is not just one of cinematic brilliance, but of quiet resilience. She lived with invisible battles, carrying her pain with grace and dignity. Her death, shrouded in mystery and silence, challenges us to look beyond official narratives and consider the hidden stories behind public figures. What truly happened in those final hours? Was it simply pneumonia, or something far more complex, a final act of a body that refused to give up even when the light became too bright? As the world remembers Diane Keaton, we are left with more questions than answers. The missing files, the erased notes, and the whispered conversations in hospital corridors suggest a story still waiting to be told. Perhaps Diane's greatest secret was not in her films or public persona, but in the silent fight waged within her own body, a fight that ended not with a simple diagnosis, but with a mystery that may never be solved. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories behind the headlines. And don't forget to leave your thoughts below. What do you believe really happened to Diane Keaton?